Whoa. I don't know how I'm streaming when I didn't put in the key yet, but I'm streaming. Hello, everybody. Buddha. I'll get started in just a minute. I wasn't quite ready, but I'm ready. Oh, there's Joey. Hello, Joey. We're homeschoolers, and there's the dogs. The dogs have their own couch. Otherwise, I would have nowhere to sit. Anyway. Hello. I knew that was going to happen. And there's child number one, thing number one and thing number two. I knew that was going to happen. I predicted it. And this is what it's like, and this is actually one of the things that I wanted to live stream about today. Waiting for things to be perfect. It's never going to happen. Don't wait. Hold on, let me adjust this so you don't have to look at the fan. It's never going to be perfect timing. There is no perfect timing. There is no perfect decision. Rarely is there a perfect decision in your life where you don't have to weigh options and pros and cons. And rarely do things line up where it's just like exactly perfect. Sometimes, and we call that synchronicity or divine timing, and that's fantastic. But the rest of life is all about weighing your pros and cons and doing things even if it's not perfect. I waited for a very long time to start doing YouTube videos. And and here's another example. Should I wear my AirPods or should I use the dishwasher's running right now. You can probably hear that. Let's try this. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit better. I don't know if it is or not. Are we connected? So I'm going through my AirPods. Hopefully it's decent sound quality. The last video I did, it was kind of sketchy sound quality. I hope that it was okay, and I don't know if it was these AirPods. I don't know what is going on, but this is exactly my point. I was waiting to start doing YouTube videos live like this or with me on camera talking to you until it was perfect, until I felt like it or it looked better or whatever, because there's plenty of times where I do not feel like it and I do not look okay. And so then I just put it off and put it off. And sometimes I just don't even know what to talk about, but there's so much to talk about. And one of those is exactly what I'm talking about right now, which is don't wait for things to be perfect. The perfect time, it will never come. Don't wait for divine timing and synchronicity to be the ever ready presence in your life. It's just not reality. Don't wait for the dishwasher to be done or the kids to be quiet or the dog to stop chewing on the bone. It's just going to take longer to get done what you need to get done. The time is right now. And it's easy to procrastinate and wait until things are perfect. Hang on. Stop. Stop chewing on the bone. I don't know if you could hear that, but look, now he's all kind of butthurt. Stop. See? And, this is real life. And that's part of the beauty and the beast of social media is that we get to see sometimes too much of each other. But in situations like these, where, it's just, this is real life and people aren't afraid or offended by that like maybe we used to be, especially, COVID happened and then everybody was using Zoom meetings and we had to learn how to make sure that our environment was appropriate and that people can see us and we have to wear pants and we have to not jack off on camera. So, but what is it that you are putting off? Don't put it off. What is it that you can do? Do you feel stuck? There are so many ways to get unstuck, and I get it. Sometimes it's like you're financially stuck, and there's really like you want to take a step, but financially you need the money to do that. Okay, so then you've got to get the money to do that before you can take the first step, even. And so the first step is actually acquiring capital, and there's a lot of different ways to do that, but it's a pain in the ass. I totally get it. So do something. And doing something is better. Most of the time, doing something is better than doing nothing. Making some decision, even if it's not your favorite decision, is better than making no decision. I mean, making no decision is also a decision. But if that becomes a pattern in your life, then let me move this over. If that becomes a, uh-oh, did I just get rid of you guys? Did I just quit my own live stream? I don't know if I did or not. Did I? Now I'm super confused, and I don't know if I quit my own live stream. Yeah, go ahead and do it, whatever you want to do. Am I still live? Wait. Okay, I'm still live. I'm new to this live stuff, and I got rid of the window and thought that I had closed you guys out. So, um, yesterday, spent a good amount of the day actually on this topic of making decisions and how to make the best decision possible. You know, we can throw spaghetti at the wall, or we can really take an organized approach to making the best possible decision. So I will clue you in on some of what's been going on. My older son is supposed to go to Penn State and play baseball. Penn State is a huge billion-dollar corporation, so they do everything they can to get everybody to go to Penn State and spend a bunch of money. Now, we are currently living in Nevada. We've never lived in Pennsylvania, where Penn State is. So we're not residents. And because he would be going to school there, he will never be a resident because he's only going to be in Pennsylvania to go to school. So even after the first year, he won't be a resident and get the resident rates. And Penn State just so happens to be the most expensive out-of-state tuition in the country. And it's a state university. So there's also an issue with the campus that he's supposed to go play baseball, because like I said, there are 20 different campuses. The campus he's supposed to go to, when we went and visited there for Spirit Week, this wasn't an issue, but now it's an issue because they've opened a huge shell. It's like a polyethylene cracker plant. It's a refinery, and they've already been shut down and fined for being. They're not permanently shut down. That's the problem. If they were permanently shut down, this wouldn't be a conversation, right? But they're polluting the community in a huge, huge way. The community is fighting back, but this is an ongoing problem. And do we want to expose him to that? The chemicals that are put off in their burners, they have these huge smokestacks, or they're not even smokestacks, they're flame stacks with flames. So all night long you see this flame up there, and you smell, it's like, they say it's like a nail polish remover or something like that, and it's very toxic, and they've been over the legal limits, which, you know, what is the legal limit? That could be hazardous as well. So they're way over the limits. People are complaining of symptoms like headaches and nausea and all kinds of stuff. Now, long-term exposure causes cancer. And it's not like you have to be exposed for a long time. It's just it takes a while for it to turn into cancer in your body. So we really are not very excited about this particular location anymore. And hold on, dogs, lay down. They're walking around. I don't know if you can hear the constant clicking of the nails. Go lay down. It drives me nuts. Go lay down and be quiet. Like as soon as I start live streaming, my whole world explodes. The squeaky chair, the door opening, the dogs clicking. It is what it is. Again, don't wait for the perfect time. It is life. And we're very accustomed to being in one another's lives at this point. Of course, I have certain parameters of how you wouldn't be invited into my life and wouldn't even want to. So, but don't wait for the perfect time in most cases. See, now it's nice and quiet except for the dishwasher, and hopefully you can't hear that. So we can enroll him in another campus, no problem. Just transfer over. And he has about a week to figure out what to do. The thing about transferring him to another campus is they're in a different, what's it called? Conference, a different baseball conference than the original one. So he would have to just try out for the team and hope that he gets onto that team. And they're a really good team. And I don't have any doubt that he would get on the team. He's quite impressive. And I've looked at their graduating seniors and what they're taking with them and what my son brings to the table. So he would slide on in there. He's a gap year student, so he's 1 year older than the other freshmen. So that's an option. But then we go back to the price. You know, he does have a trust that will cover, unfortunately, at Penn State, only 1 year of room and board. School, tuition, and room and board. So school, dorm, food, and books. And going to school and playing baseball, he's not going to be able to work. He's worked full-time since he was 16 years old. He's one of those kids. And so then he'll end up having about $100,000 in student loans. Now, that's just for a bachelor's degree. For student loans, you don't have to pay them as long as you're in school. So then if he goes on to get a master's degree and then maybe a doctor's degree, whatever, if he stays in school, he doesn't have to repay them right away. But that's still a huge debt out of the gate. So on the flip side, he could use that the trust that he has to go to a state university where we live in our residence, or he could even just go to online school and get a degree, but they don't really provide the degrees that he wants in the online schools, that it would take literally 1 year at Penn State would cover his entire bachelor's degree, and he can move as quickly as he wants. I just recently learned about Western Governors University, and they have a few different areas of specialty that you can get bachelor's degrees in as quickly as you want. It's $3,500 per 6 months. So not even per semester, per 6 months. So you can literally take the test, just take the test and test out and get credit for it. So you don't have to spend 15 weeks and then a break and then another 15 weeks and then summer break to have a full year of school. It's 6 months and 6 months. So you can get a whole entire degree, depending on who you are, if you hammer through it, in 1 year for $7,000. And then he would pocket the rest of that trust money minus the taxes they take out and everything. But then you don't get the college experience, you don't get to play baseball, la, la, la. So if someone offered you, let's say, $40,000 to not go to Penn State, is it worth it? If someone said, which is the reality, you can go have this college experience and play baseball, but you're going to be strapped with a crap ton of student loan debt, and is it worth it, right? Or do you just not even get a degree and start pursuing your area of interest right away? And I'll bring up the season 2 of The Apprentice is a perfect example of an argument for not getting a degree. They had teams. One team was all business degrees, maybe masters of business. I think they were all master's degrees. And the other were literal functioning entrepreneurs who had no college. And competition-wise, it's a competition. You put the master's degree business people against the entrepreneurial business people, and guess who won everything? It was the entrepreneurs. Because what you learn in school is great, but when you actually work it in the real world, there's a learning curve there, and you have to think outside of the box at every step of the way. Because life isn't necessarily the way it's presented in a textbook. So you can learn the technical terms and the way things go down in in a variety of ways, but when it comes to real life, that is like throwing spaghetti against the wall, and you've got to figure it out. So season 2 of The Apprentice, if you are an entrepreneur or weighing, should I get a degree or should I just go into the field and open up my own business, watch season 2 of The Apprentice. It's fascinating. Really, really good information, and you'll see the difference. What happened? You'll see the difference. I've been having trouble with my outlets. It's really, really weird. My light just died. Alexa, turn on pendant lights. Alexa, turn on pendant lights. Okay, so there's some different lighting, whatever. So being that my son is 19 years old, I can't tell him what to do. And so in a way, I'm kind of off the hook. And he realizes that he could make a decision now that seems like the best decision and later on realize it wasn't the best decision, regardless of what decision he makes. So what do? You have to really know your priorities. He said, I want the college experience. Fair enough. Is the college experience worth $100,000 of debt? If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. It doesn't have to be emotional. Is it worth it to you? It's just money, right? It's just money. And you don't have to start paying back those loans until you're done with school. And that could mean years and years and years and years of school. If you always stay in school, you never have to start paying your student loans back. And even once you start paying them back, it's just a monthly payment. So if you spend all that time and money going to a good school like that, good school, you better be able to afford those monthly payments. Plenty of people pay off their student loans. It might take you till you're 90, but hey, look at the experience you got out of it, and hopefully it's worth it. Now, I homeschooled my kids the whole entire way. And one of the leading leaders, that's a quote from School of Rock, one of the leading leaders of homeschool advocacy was John Taylor Gatto, Gatto. He has since passed away, unfortunately. He was just an incredible man. He was an accidental school teacher in the New York school system public New York school system for 30 years. He never planned on doing that. And boy, oh boy, was he a thorn in the side of the bureaucracy. But he got a lot of things done. And he also wrote books, and he has a ton of videos out there. I play them on double speed because he, towards the end, was talking really, really slowly. But he outlines 14 different important life skills that college students learn at the Ivy League schools, and why our leading leaders in business and politics and everything besides the secret handshake club are from Ivy League schools, generally speaking. Putting skull and bones and Masons and all that aside, if that's even possible. But what is the difference between the Ivy League schools that turn out the leaders of our country and other schools? There's 14 different things. And actually, he pointed to sports. He said, when you are in collegiate level sports, you learn things that you can't learn anywhere else. And I can't list them all for you. I'll try to find this information because it was a video that I watched. And I'll try to find that for you again and put it in the link below if you're interested, especially if you are homeschooling, because, well, it doesn't really matter, I guess, if you're not. So these are things that you learn. And about sports, for example, it's how to behave and react in an emergency, because people get hurt in sports. And you have to know how not to run around with a chicken, like a chicken with your head cut off, or just pass out if you see blood. And a lot of different things are actually gained from playing sports on a team. Obviously, sportsmanship and whatnot. When Corey he must have been 11, let's say. He was in Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts up in Big Bear Lake, California, and they were doing a 6 weeks physical fitness with the Marines. So every week there would be some Marines that would come up, run them through different physical activities, and at the end they had a contest, competition, relay races, and everything. And just out of the blue, they gave Corey an actual medal, and it's heavy. I don't know what it's made of, but it's this medal that isn't even an award, but they gave it to him specifically because he was the most enthusiastic teammate. He ran the relay, passed it off to his teammate, and normally they'd watch their teammate run around, but Corey ran around with his teammate going, "Come on, Max, come on, Max, you can do it." And that can't really be taught so much at that young age. It's just part of who you are as a person, and that's who he's always been as a person. And, you know, uh, things, those types of experiences and exposures are really, really vital. So exposing your kids to all kinds of different experiences as they're growing up so they can learn who they are as a person and be recognized for those things. Like my son Joey he's now in Civil Air Patrol, and he's meeting people, other students and military guys. He's going into the Air Force, so we're preparing him for that. And he'll start to learn who he is as a person from that context. And these are high quality people. So it's not like throwing him to the wolves in a public school these days where you really have no idea who the other students are, who their parents are, and who the teachers are, and what they're being exposed to. This is a controlled environment. Typically, people who have aspirations of going into the military have a higher level of conscientiousness and self-discipline. So I'm very excited about that. But going back to the decisions that have to be made where there's just so many different variables, and where it maybe seems like Corey said, it just doesn't seem like there's a good choice. The choice he wants, he's going to be polluted by cancer pollutants. The second better choice, he's not going to be guaranteed a spot on the baseball team. And both of those choices, he's going to be strapped with a shit ton of student debt. Right? But what is money for? Right? It's there to spend and invest, or take the road where he doesn't get the college experience, doesn't get to play college sports, but could play baseball in adult leagues, and take the boring online college course, knock it out quick, and then take that money and invest it and start his adulthood very responsibly. What would you do? What is your advice? Put it in the comments below. I'm very, very interested to know, if this was your child, what you would advise them to do. And I did ask a friend of mine yesterday who is highly accomplished, one of the original tech guys that developed some internet stuff that was super important, that kept the internet alive for you and me as it is today, and retired at the age of 30, and has 4 of his own young teenage sons. And they are already taking college courses. They started college courses at 10 years old. So I asked him, now they're not into sports. They're total nerds. And I love nerds. I'm a nerd. But my kids are athletes. And so you can't just wipe that out of the equation if it's something that is important to them. And they've been homeschooled the whole time. So having that college experience is enticing. But what happens if you take your trust, you spend it on the first year, and realize you are not into this social scene at all? I mean, colleges are very liberal, and my son is not necessarily a liberal. And you know what's going on in the universities today. So he would have to just pretty much zip it, and he'll find his people. Penn State has a great reputation for forming great relationships and coming out of there with a nice, strong network. So what would you do? My super successful nerdy friend said, absolutely, baseball is a game, number one. It doesn't matter. He can play in an adult league. have them enroll in the Western Governors University. It's wgu.edu if you want to check that out and see what it's about. I'm interested. They've got like cybersecurity. I could become a hacker in 1 year. Now that, to me, because I'm a super nerd, that sounds super exciting because I'm also like Russian descent, Russian spy. That's just kind of like how my brain works. I used to work undercover and I loved it. It's just sort of a rush. I don't know what it is about it that of reconnaissance and surveillance that I like, but I do. So I mean, maybe I'll just do it. But what would your kids do? What would you tell them to do? If it was you, what would you do? What did you do? So when it comes to making decisions, when you have a lot of different variables and nothing seems like the perfect decision, how do you choose? Do you go on what's the most logical, or what feels the best, what gives you the most dopamine? And it's going to be a lot of hard work, because once you make that choice and you get there, you're going to have, it's not going to be that glamorous, and you're going to be working your ass off, and it's going to seem like a pain in the butt for a long time. And hopefully there's enough reward to stick it out and be very super successful, because you're really investing a lot and coming away with a lot of debt. So how do you make those decisions? And then, as I said from the beginning of the video, don't wait for the perfect divine timing or synchronicity, because you'll be waiting for a long time. And then that brings me back to something that I learned many years ago. Opportunities are only opportunities when they're opportunities. You can't shelf an opportunity. So he can't wait to go have this college experience and play ball on a team, because he'll age out. He'll be a non-traditional age, creepy college student. Anyway, you know what I mean. And then it'll be even harder to have a really good college experience, because everybody else is so much younger than you. He's already mature, and he's going to get there, and at least the freshman and sophomore are going to seem like they are super retarded, immature, and I mean retarded from the like 1990s, when we used to call things retarded and gay without meaning mentally challenged or homosexual. They were just retarded and gay. Am I going to be censored off of YouTube for saying that? Probably. Bleep, 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 bleep. So that is what we're dealing with here. And so I always like to ask your advice and also try to inspire you. So that's the advice I'm asking you is clear, and I want to inspire you to just start taking steps today. And if you don't know what steps to take, ask ChatGPT. Go on, explain your situation, and ask ChatGPT, because it will give you an answer that is extremely logical. And if you don't know where to start, you just ask it, what's the first step? This is da-da-da, what's the first step you would take if you were blah, 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 blah. And it will give you some advice there. If you just can word it right, the prompts have to be really good. So play around with your prompts and see if it doesn't give you some good advice. Honestly, it's pretty fun. And it gives you very, very annoyingly logical advice. So I guess that's pretty much it. We got to get back to work here because, well, I guess Joey's done with school, Corey's done with work. I actually still have to work. I'm working tonight, starting at about 8 and 8 to midnight-ish. And you might not know what I do, but I do. I work. So, peace out.